Thoughts on this season. Evan Siegfried, the president of Som Consulting, and Democratic strategist Harlan Hill. Good to see you guys. All right, I'm just going to come out and say, you are a never-Trumper. You have never liked Trump. You don't want him in the Oval Office. You still don't want him in the Oval Office, even though he is now the nominee, or the presumptive nominee, about to get it. What's this plan for the third-party candidate? Are you going to get one?
Well, we're looking. There are plenty of viable options, but we are running out of runway. First of all, we do have to make filing deadlines in key states. You pointed out about Texas.
Right.
Well, the whole goal of the Never Trump movement is to stop Donald Trump from becoming president. He's unfit for office, and he would be a disaster for Republicans and the conservative movement in the future. So,
but knowing that you probably can't get elected, your candidate, I should say, can't get elected, you would want to be the spoiler for Donald Trump.
I reject the notion that we're the spoilers, because for months upon months, Trump and his fans have said that we don't need you at all. And now they're saying, oh, no, we need you. Oh, it's panicking. And
it's about unification of the party.
And Donald Trump has yet to do that. He's still attacking John McCain, Susana Martinez. In his tweets attacking Bill Kristol, he referred to Republicans as they, not we. He still doesn't even personally identify as a Republican.
So would it make a difference if he called Bill Kristol up and said, Bill, I don't think you're a loser, really. I got out of hand with what I said, and I really, I want to find a way to get us together?
Listen, I'm always hopeful that even broken clocks will start running again.
So you want that phone call? You think the Never-Trumpers need a phone call?
I would always listen to Donald Trump if he called me and said, I'm going to do this, but the proof is in the pudding. He has to follow through with whatever he promises. For months upon months, he said, I'm going to be more presidential. I'm going to do this better. And he just reverts back to form of insults, lack of judgment, incredible thin skin, and a temper tantrum.
And yet, Harlan, this is why he's succeeding. Americans are looking at him and saying he is so atypical from any politician we've ever seen, and this is why they love him.
Both Republicans, moderates, and Democrats like myself. Look, I'm part of the Never Hillary movement. I know.
I think Never Trump and Never Hillary. How about
that? I believe it, especially after Bernie Sanders wins in California, which I predict, and has unbelievable momentum going into the convention, and he's not going to get the nomination. There's no question about it. Then I think that movement will grow.
Let me ask you, given that you're part of the Never Hillary movement, would you vote for Donald Trump?
Oh, I intend to. I'm going to be vocally supporting him, actually. So, yeah.
So, this is the example of the Bernie Sanders supporters, and we've talked a lot about this on the show, Sanders supporters that would vote for Trump, despite the fact that I would argue, they're similar in that they're both atypical candidates. However, anti-establishment. However, they stand for two totally different things. One's a capitalist, one's a socialist.
Well, I think most of Bernie Sanders supporters aren't socialists or democratic socialists. I think they're people that are just fed up with the overall economy. It hasn't been servicing them for well over a decade now. They're just fed up. They're kids that can't, find jobs out of college, and they've got unbelievable debt. They're seniors that can't afford their meds. That's what this is about. So they're talking about the same issues. They may have different solutions to the problems, but there's a lot of commonality.
So that's interesting. You're willing to entertain a different solution so long as someone understands your frustration with the economic
situation. And they actually have similar solutions in some key areas. The campaign finance reform, there's a lot of commonality between them. On trade, there's a lot of commonality between them. So I think that there's more in common than people will acknowledge.
You think about some of these statistics we're looking at in polls that have come into us recently. Economy still number one issue. 26% of the electorate identifies the economy as the number one issue. Terrorism, number two at 21%. But then, you know what follows? Government spending, health care. These are the things that people care about. Climate change, amazingly, 8%. So 8% of the population does care somewhat about the climate change issue. But clearly, economy, terrorism, government spending, these are the things that people want addressed right now. Why are you so skeptical of Donald Trump's ability to address these issues, Evan?
Donald Trump's plan on dealing with the economy is basically igniting trade wars. If you like how much if you don't like how much things cost right now, it's going to skyrocket.
That's not true. It's tax policy. Look, he wants to repatriate the $1.5 trillion that are locked overseas by lowering the corporate income tax rate. So
he's gone out 15%. And he said, you know what? I'm going to launch trade wars because China, we're losing them. I don't understand.
Here's the one thing I'd say. I don't think it's a full-blown trade war. I think what he's saying is we need to renegotiate our agreements that we make with these countries, because you know what? It's just not fair. It's just not fair that they're able to manipulate their currency such as they do, that they are able to put so many tariffs on American goods that are being shipped over to China. You want to talk about free trade? Why don't you actually have free trade?
Exactly.
Why don't you have a level playing field where we can make our widgets and they can make their widgets, and we sell them without all these ridiculous tariffs that make it frankly, extremely difficult for Americans to sell their goods overseas.
Absolutely, and the Chinese in particular have been very smart about this. We look at the tires. Tires are a great example. They flooded the American, they attempted to flood the American market with cheap tires to drive our companies out of business. And so we're not competing on a level playing field. The American middle class cannot compete with in China and in Mexico City. We can't do it. No. And we're not operating on the same level. And until we are, we need to be talking about trade.
We showed those pictures recently last week of the former Apple factory, not an Apple factory, but a factory that was making Apple products. And, people were living, 12 people crammed into one room with extremely tough living conditions. And you're right, we can't compete with that. So we've got to find some other way, which may mean, Evan, negotiating better trade deals. And maybe the threat of a trade war isn't the worst thing for China to hear.
Well, I don't think China is going to really respond too well to it. Maybe I'm in the minority here, but it's just not the way to go. We can also look at Donald Trump on issues of national security. He has time and time again demonstrated an incredibly thin skin and lack of understanding of the key issues. His own foreign policy
I don't know
is
if Hillary Clinton demonstrated the best understanding of that.
No,
one
she's
word,
not going to go nuts over a tweet.
I got to run because I got more to talk about. But thank you so much. Good to have you guys here, Harlan and Evan. Turning to the